Welcome to TORAH Talk. I am your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with episode number 54 of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart Federow from Houston, Texas. Welcome back, Rabbi. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
God, how are you doing?
Good to see you as always, sir. Very, very good. I am doing fine. I got really tired a little earlier today. Actually, literally about 2 hours ago. Just had a long, stressful day at work, and I was like, came inside and I sat down and I just felt like crashing. And so I crashed for all of about 15 minutes, and I just
sometimes that's all you need.
Woke up feeling like Superman. Man, that's great. And that was really all I needed. Okay, so I'm not going to put on the YouTube chat.
You're putting me on.
I'm putting you on. So I'm not going to put on the YouTube chat anymore, at least till I can figure out how to control it better, because people don't really always know how to behave themselves, and I don't want inappropriate things.
Wait, what happened? Somebody?
Oh, just people getting snotty, and it's just, I don't know, it's just energy.
On our chat?
No, on some others. Actually, I have seen one semi-close one before, but nothing major. But why, you think I should leave the YouTube chat up? I mean, I like the feature. I just don't want people getting all offended
because it makes it easier to monitor it.
Okay.
But no, we don't have to have it. I'll just keep an eye on it.
Well, okay. Well, I tell you what then. Why don't we leave it up to the viewers? There's 25 of you guys out there. Tell me something out there, you viewers. Should we leave the YouTube chat in the window of the recording so when you go back and watch later, you can actually see all the cool chat going on, even though we may have a risk of some crazy person going in and just putting inappropriate things? So I'll say,
how much is that top chat in the window?
Okay, please pray for me. And okay, Grant Dunn just asked for a prayer. Said him.
What's the matter?
Grant Dunn, him and his mother, they're trying to foreclose. That bites, man. I hate to say that. Leave the chat. Don't let the evil inclination ruin it for the others. I like it. Do it. Yes.
Grant, you're in our prayers.
Yes, indeed. Keep it down below. Actually, I can't. I guess. Oh, yeah. Instead of putting it above my head, I'll just put it below Rabbi Federow. It'll give me more room that way, too, anyways. That's what I'll do. Okay, cool. So they say keep it on. So, okay, that's what we're going to do then. I'm gonna put it down here, and y'all will notice a change in just a moment. I'll make the box a little bit bigger so it matches a little bit easier to see as well. So today we're going to discuss an issue. Initially, yeah, and we're not going to get into great detail about it. We're just going to discuss it. Just a little bit here and there, discuss some concepts about it, discuss the concept of concepts about it, and we'll kind of just see how it all plays out. Okay, let me see. I'm missing something here. Why didn't it move? One moment. Oh, there it goes. I got to move my window over to land inside the chat area, and I think I just about got it right there. Okay, let's see. Whoops, hold on. Hit the wrong button. Y'all bear with me 1 second, guys. I was on the wrong screen. There we go. Okay, there we go. Voila. Okay, so we'll leave it right there. Anybody gets acting crazy out there, come on. Just be polite. Don't be putting no profanity and all this other nonsense.
Well, if you see the person's name who did it last time,
Right. It was really uncomfortable because it was on another show, Hebrew for Fun and Profit with Gabriel Sanders, and he's such a sweet soul. We just talking Hebrew, and I didn't catch it, but he sent me a message later and said to me, "We got to take the chat down." He goes, "There's people out there being really, really rude," and I'm like, "Really? I didn't see it." So I'll just keep.
William,
yeah.
Where to go? Tennille asks, "Can you block the unruly people?"
If I catch it, yes, I can.
All right.
If I catch
I'll try to keep an eye on it.
So, but the problem is, by the time I catch it, you will have already seen it, and it will be on the recording. So that's the only odd part about it. So.
Oh, got it. Sure.
Okay, so let me do this here, Tom. I'm going to try to make this a little bit more scaled up. So anyway, so it's kind of an interesting topic altogether. It's we're going to do our best to cover what we can of it. Okay, here we go. make things a little bit more balanced out. Okay, cool. So, there's this whole thing. I've heard it for a long time. Beware of the Noahide laws. And again, this is not going to be the whole show. We're just going to maybe talk about it for a few minutes, and then we're going to move on and take your questions. Basically, the first thing I was thinking of, there was kind of signs of the Noahide laws being taught in the New Testament, like in Acts and in Galatians.
Yeah, which, by the way, means that it already has to have been a part of
culture. Jewish culture.
Jewish theology.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
We're talking God here.
Yeah. Right.
So it's not culture like bagels. We're talking like Jewish theology here.
Right.
Before the time of Acts.
Understood. Very good. Let me move this over.
So that's an important thing to say.
Very good. I'm gonna move this chat over just a tiny bit because my arm's blocking it. Well, why does that thing keep popping up? My goodness. Okay, here we go. Okay, I think that fixed it. Okay, good. All right, so let's take this thing and just ride it for a little bit and see what happens. My first thought is right off the bat is like I said. Here's the thing: people say, "Well, you can't find it anywhere in Torah," so here's my problem with that.
I got a lot of problems with that too.
Can you? Here's questions that I ask. Can you find in Torah where it explicitly states "do not kidnap"? Can you find in Torah where it explicitly says "don't look at pornography"? Can you find in Torah where it explicitly says "don't do income tax evasion"? No, but the concepts are all there. They've always been there.
Exactly.
Right? So why is that such a problem?
You know something, William? You bring up a very interesting point.
Okay.
Let's see. Muslims certainly believe that that God made a revelation known through Muhammad. Okay. And therefore, I guess it would be Allah's concern is for Muslims. Okay. The Christian theology, at the outset is if you don't believe in Jesus, you're damned to hell. And the only reason why God comes to want a person to learn about Jesus and convert is to save them from hell. Okay. But that still means God is only concerned for Christians because only Christians get to heaven.
Mm-hmm. Right. True.
Okay.
Right. Gotcha.
Judaism, however, doesn't have this view. Why does God start out with Adam and Eve to begin with? Nowhere does it. We don't believe that Adam and Eve were Jewish because God is concerned for all peoples, not just Jews. Why is it that Noah is not considered the first Jew?
Right. I've always wondered that myself.
No, seriously.
Right?
He has a covenant with God.
Yeah.
He has laws he's supposed to follow. He was told by God to do certain things, which he complied with. Okay. So why doesn't he get the honor of being considered the forefather of our faith, or whatever you want to call it?
Right.
Okay. And there are midrash on the issue. When Abraham is told the Sodom and Gomorrah is going to get wiped off the earth, he starts defending them to God. When Noah is told that a vastly greater population, namely the whole world, is going to die, he says, "Oh, okay." There's no rejection. There's no defending other people. Again, it indicates God cares for all people, not just the Jews.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if God has a covenant with the Jews, does it really make sense
to exclude Noah?
To exclude everybody else on planet Earth, which is who we're talking about, because everybody else on Earth is a descendant of Noah, by definition.
Right.
Does it make sense that God is going to have one and only one covenant with the Jews, and nobody else gets a covenant?
I think here's what I think. I would like to comment on that, and this is
please. This is a conversation.
Yeah, right, for sure. Okay, so in my answer would be yes, and here's why. Because realistically, only the Jewish people. I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about over a period of history of 5,000 years, whatever. When I say Jewish people, I mean literally the tribe of Judah and their deal. Okay, so southern kingdom, split northern kingdom, whatever the case may be, right? So God entrusts the word of Hashem through the Levites and through Judah, and so they basically won. If you want to look at it that way, but they basically won the titleship of. They were the ones who proved themselves to be hired as the manager over the company, to which everyone else should submit. That's kind of the way I see it. And that's literally the way I see it and understand it based on maybe my lack of studies. I don't know. People say, well, you need to study more, William. I'm not going to argue with that.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But I don't think that's the large picture.
Right. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
No, I agree with you. God chose the Jews.
Right.
We are the chosen. What are we chosen for? It doesn't mean we're better than everybody else, although it does mean if we obey God's laws, we will become better off than anybody else. Okay, but it doesn't make us better than anybody else.
Right, agreed.
The effect of our faith.
Yeah.
Okay, but in the larger picture, God cares about all people, and God is not just going to enter into a covenant with only the Jews because of that caring for other people. There's got to be another covenant out there somewhere with everybody else, because Jews don't believe that the only relationship you can have with God is through Judaism.
Right.
Okay, we've never said that. We think it's a better, deeper, whatever you want to call it, relationship, but it's not the only relationship.
I think a problem that a lot of people have is the term Noah, or the term, I'm sorry, I'm acting all sarcastic. I shouldn't do that. The term Noahide is
it's okay. I love sarcasm. And that was not sarcastic.
Right. So here's what they'll say. You will never find the word Noahide in Torah, so why are you believing in it? Again, the concept is there. It's kind of, you know what, I still compare it to this. You know, my kids in their schooling nowadays, they have, back when I was in school, they had A, E, I, O, U, and they had to tell you how to pronounce the vowels. They either had a straight line over it or they had a curved line over it. And that was all the guidelines that they ever had. Nowadays, they've got all these new rules, right? That has like these squiggly lines over it, and they've got all this, they call it a schwa, and all this other stuff that tells you how.
Which they get from Hebrew.
And I'm thinking, this was never there before when I was a kid. And here's the thing. It always existed. They just created a rule to show you how it's used. Mm-hmm. Right? So just like that being said, the whole concept of schwa has always been there. The actual existence of schwa has always been there, but they finally came up with the rule to show you how to actually use it, right? And so
or how it's already in process of being used.
Yes, perfect.
Okay,
perfect.
Here are the laws that govern it.
Yeah, so the same thing with the Bnei Noach. So the term you'll find is ger, and it's all throughout. Well, I'll say all throughout. It's in Tanakh.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Okay, now wait a minute. Ger.
Yes.
Is another level of it, I guess I would say. I'm not sure how to define
like
that, but I would say
Ger Tzedek and Ger Toshav, that sort of thing.
Right, but it's a subset.
Okay.
Okay, and it's still, by definition, a Jewish thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, because it's Judaism that came up with the concept. Okay, Ger Toshav, resident alien, resident with whom? Resident with the Jews. Okay, in Israel. Okay, but before you had that, you had the concept of the Noahide laws, of the relationship with God through fulfillment of the Noahide laws, through the covenant God made with Noah and all of his descendants, which means every human being on earth, other than the Jewish community, which have their own covenant.
Right.
Okay, so, and just to piggyback on something you said earlier, if a person looks for a specific verse in the Bible that says, the covenant with Noah means that they will do these 7 laws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Of course you're not going to find it.
Right.
Okay, but there are certain implications of statements that God makes, not only to Noah, by the way, but even before that with Abraham. Before that with Adam and Eve, okay, or more specifically Adam, that also imply the elements of the covenant. Now, it's subtle.
Right.
Okay. It comes from a midrashic mind, a commentary mind, which, frankly, until you get into Jewish commentary and the rabbinic mind, you're not going to really get, frankly speaking. Okay. But, do me a favor.
Sure.
Okay. Throw up on the screen Genesis chapter 9.
Okay.
Okay.
Verse.
4, 5, and 6.
Okay. Give me a second here. If I can find a mouse that will cooperate, we'll be doing good. We'll doing good. Let's see. Hold on just a second. I got to find the right screenshot. Maybe I don't have it set up. Hang on a second.
Actually, if you really wanted to, you could start with 9:9.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I got to reset my desktop presenter to identify the right. No. Oh, there you go, right there. Main display. That's why it's not showing. Is silly rabbit tricks for kids. There we go. Now it should show up. Alrighty. I said it should. Where's that? Well, fiddle faddle. Hold on.
That's good stuff, but I prefer straight popcorn.
I like fiddle faddle. I'm good with that.
Well, so do I, but
Man. Okay, here. Let me just. Okay, give me a second.
Talk
About it, I'll put it up.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said go ahead and talk about 9:9, and I'll put it. It'll take me about another 30 seconds or so to get it up here.
All right. Well, before we get to that, I just want you to know, William, as a rabbi, I assure you that God himself eats popcorn. And by the way, drinks Dr. Pepper, because Dr. Pepper, okay, even Diet Dr. Pepper and popcorn cannot be beat. All right.
You're funny.
Okay. But seriously, folks, okay, take a look at Genesis 9:9 or 9:8, whatever. Okay.
Okay, there's that, and I'm going to do remote desktop presenter, which is here, and I'm going to select the right one, new one, if it'll let me. This thing's acting really squirty today for some reason. I don't know why. Select new. Oh, really? Wow, this guy's really giving me a hard time. 192. Hang on, I got to put in my IP address. Dadgummit.
Okay.
Okay. Pretty sad when you have your IP address memorized. Don't enable audio, and there it is. But you're still pulling up the wrong dang screen. Why is that? Well, you know what? You may just have to read it. I can't. Something's wrong with this, and I can't get it to show up.
All right. Well, Genesis chapter 9, verse 8 tells us exactly who God is speaking to. And God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying. And then Genesis chapter 9, verse 9 reads, As for me, that's God speaking, as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you. And then 9:10 goes on to say, and with every living creature that is with you, the fowl, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, of all that go out of the ark, every man, even every beast of the earth, and I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the flood, etc. Goes on from there. Okay.
Okay.
Well, if I establish a covenant with anybody, covenant means contract, right?
Right.
So if you and I get into a contract, I'm delineating in the contract what I want from you to do for me, but also in the contract, you delineate in the contract what you want from me to do for you, because we're both getting something out of the contract. That's the whole point, right?
Right.
So if God says to Noah, I am going to establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you and with every living creature, I'm not going to do a flood again. Where's the list of what God gets from people to do for God?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Covenant between God and the Jews, God is explicitly clear. Okay. Here's what you're going to do here's what you're going to do for me. Here's what I'm going to do for you. Okay. Tied to the land. I give you the land, but you better hold true to the covenant. And here's what you're going to do for me. And then starts in with the 613. Basically. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So where in the world do we go to find out what the elements are that humans are supposed to do for God in the established covenant that God explicitly says in Genesis 9, chapter chapter 9, verse 9, as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you. He's speaking to Noah. Well, go a couple of verses before that. Okay, and what does it say? It says, let's see.
Still in Genesis, right? Genesis 9.
It's all Genesis
Okay.
9. This is all Genesis 9. This is after the flood. The waters have receded. Okay, they're about to go out from the ark, join the rest of the world. People are going to, I'm sorry, the animals are now going to be afraid of you. Okay. Why? Because now human beings are going to start eating meat. They got so evil because they're bloodthirst. They weren't allowed to hunt. They weren't allowed to eat meat. And eventually,
Right.
you know, you had the flood. And then after the flood, this is what Genesis 9 is all about. Be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. Why? Because now human beings are going to start eating animals. They were vegetarians up to this point. And
I will say
these animals are going to be afraid, you know?
Yep.
Okay.
So
then what? Then what does it? I'm sorry. Well, what does it say? 9:3. Every moving thing that lives shall be for food for you, as the green herb have I already given. Only flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. So we have, obviously, you can't eat an animal who's alive, which is the cut the living animal, cut the limb off of a living animal.
Right.
Commandment of the 7 laws of Noah. Okay. What else does it say?
Can I back up to verse 3 again real fast?
Every moving thing that lives shall be for food for you, as the green herb have I given you all. Only flesh with the life in it, which is the blood thereof, you shall not eat.
I want to comment on verse 3.
Okay.
Okay, so this is something that I still struggle with even today, because which is why we still don't eat unkosher flesh here in our house and our family. I say unkosher flesh specifically because we don't eat kosher, because I can't find kosher food around here. But we don't eat pork.
Really?
Shrimp.
In the middle of Texas, nowhere?
You can go to Austin. Austin's got a kosher HEB there, but that's an hour and a half drive from us. So here's the reason why. It says, every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you, even as the green herb. Now, the thing I want to draw attention to is this part right here, that even as a green herb, that I have given you in all things. But the thing is, there were rules with the green herbs. It had to be something that had seed. It had to be a seed-bearing plant. It wasn't everything that was green on the planet. So just like this right here, just like the green herbs have rules, and Noah knew those rules, also this whole idea of the everything that lives shall be meat for you, that also had rules. Obviously the things that I call food. Like we would never call kitty litter food. Right? Because it's not food. We wouldn't call tree bark food, so therefore it's not food. So if I told my son, you can have any food you want, especially my son, he knows for a fact pork is not food to him. They know that. And so with this said, just like I've given you all things, just like the green herb, I have given you all things. Well, the green herb had rules, so does the ever-living thing. That's what I deal with right there. Because if you think about it, and I know what the Midrash teaches on this, where they had one pair of unclean animals and 7 pair of all clean animals on the ark.
Right.
Well, what would have happened had they eaten one of the unclean animals? It would have ended the species. So I think that even Noah knew. I think even Noah knew that that the laws of food pertained, just like the green herb had rules. So does the living creatures had rules also, and I think he knew those, and I think he followed them. Therefore, I think the Noahide laws include eating kosher. That's what I think. Even today, I think that still. I'm not going to argue with anybody on it because it's not my place to do so, and I don't have the authoritative standpoint to be able to say this is how it is. No, I'm just telling you how my brain is working. You know what I mean?
Well, and I understand your brain, but I kind of think the rules regarding Noah and food is what he says next. Okay, every moving thing that lives shall be for food for you, as the green herb have I given you all. In other words, even animals have laws regarding it.
Right.
What's the rule? Only flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, you shall not eat. In other words, don't cut the limb off of a living animal is the food law.
I don't think it is, because why didn't right here he mention also the herb law? He didn't mention it right here. It's mentioned somewhere else.
But he's already given the herb law.
I know.
He doesn't have to mention it again.
So you're saying
what he has to mention is what's new, which is the don't cut the limb off of a living animal for food.
Okay.
Or don't cut the limb off of for food.
Gotcha.
It's one of the laws of Noah, which is who he's talking. It's who he's talking to.
Right.
But either way, even if you say, which I'm not sure I agree with you, certainly.
Sure.
But even if you said that kosher is for the nations as well, okay, or B'nai Noach as well, okay, isn't it somewhat clear that there are food laws of any kind?
Isn't it clear? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, here you have a part of the covenant with Noah, and even though it doesn't say, here are the 7 laws of Noah, now that I've made a covenant with you, as it says, where was it?
4.
We just read it.
Verse 4?
4. No.
Not sure what you're looking for.
Where he says specifically, I'm making a covenant with you.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
9. As for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you.
Okay.
With every living creature that is with you, I'm not going to do a flood again. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. But the 7 laws of Noah are what you're going to do for me.
Right, gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
But there are at least 2 right here.
Right.
Because not only does it say, don't cut the limb off of a living animal, which is what I think it means when it says, only flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, you shall not eat. This doesn't mean you've already killed the animal.
Right.
And it's got blood in it. The life is in it, which includes the blood. That means it's not dead.
Right.
Don't cut off. So right there's one of the 7. Mm-hmm. And then immediately after, what does it say? Verse 6. Whoso sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made man.
Okay.
So 2 of the 7 are right here.
Here comes the 3rd.
I don't think so.
Be fruitful and multiply is not a Noahide law also?
No.
It's right there with Noah. He's telling Noah this.
Right, but he had already said that to Adam and Eve.
But he didn't. But point is, he said it before the rules, before the 10 Commandments, before all that began. That's the point. Which means anything before that should be applied to the sons of Noah.
Exactly.
Like this, be fruitful, multiply, right?
But he already said it. Okay. However, if you take a look at the list of the 7 laws of Noah, mm-hmm. being fruitful and multiply isn't one of them. However,
gotcha. Interesting.
Okay. However, okay, we just spoke of how in the same way that the herb you can eat herbs, okay, plants, it has certain limitations. We also said that about meat. You can't take the limb off of a living animal, so even meat has limitations. Okay. When it says be fruitful and multiply, and exactly how do we become fruitful and multiply? By engaging in sexual activity. Mm-hmm. The sexual activity also has limitations, like no immoral sexual union, which is a number 3 of the 7 laws of Noah.
Right.
So now we got 3 out of 7. Okay. However, I don't necessarily think all 7 come directly from Noah, because as we just said, William, there were laws that pre-exist Noah that still aren't part of the covenant with the Jews. Okay, they're with all human beings, and they weren't necessarily only, let me rephrase that. They weren't necessarily made first with Noah. The laws, as we just said about be fruitful and multiply was already said to Adam and Eve. Here, in the same way that everything else has a limitation, so does the laws of sex have, be fruitful and multiply have limitation. Mm-hmm. And so we have to look for when God might have been speaking to Adam and Eve for the other, however many we said, 4 laws. But we've got 3 almost half covered with explicitly statements made to Noah. Okay? So what I would have you do is pull up, where'd it go? Genesis chapter 2.
Okay.
And here's where we get rabbinic.
Just for the record, by the way, hold on. I just thought of something. Before I go there, I need to say something. Because I may not be making sense even to myself, but I need to say it. When I hear it myself say it, I'll say, oh, yeah, that made sense. Or like, what are you thinking? Okay, so you were mentioning about the be fruitful and multiply and how there are rules. Well,
yes.
Well, those rules weren't mentioned yet, right?
Well, they weren't explicitly mentioned, no.
Now, let me, before you continue, the same with the green herbs and the actual animals. Those weren't mentioned yet either, but you're saying that that's the reason why they couldn't be part of it. So which means if we use that same logic...
Wait. You went too quick. Say it again.
Sorry. Okay, so what you were reasoning with me earlier was on verse 4. It says, but flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. No, not 4. Where's it at? Where does it say about? You can't cut the limb off of an animal. That's probably it, verse 4. So, but you're saying that that this is the only rule that applies to the Noahide law, because the rest
what?
of. Well, let me finish, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So earlier we were saying, you said that that the kosher laws, because they had not been mentioned yet, could not be part of the Noahide laws. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, but
okay.
I thought, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so if that's the case, then on verse, where was it at? Verse where it talked about the be fruitful and multiply, verse 7, being that the laws of relationships also had not been mentioned yet, then those can't be included in the Noahide laws either if we use that same standard of study.
Okay, then maybe I wasn't clear.
Okay.
Okay. Or maybe I wasn't thinking it through. Okay. Because to me, what I was saying is that in verse 3, every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. As the green herb have I given you all. God had limited certain things regarding the plant life.
Right.
In terms of what was going to be okay.
And Noah knew those things.
Okay. And no one knew those things, or Noah knew those things?
Noah
knew those things.
Right.
Okay. Right. In the same way that the green herbs had limitations, so did every moving thing that lives shall be for food for you have a limitation, which was that you can't cut the limb off of a living animal, which is exactly how the Noahide law is stated. Actually,
here's another problem I have with that. If that's true, then why did he have to go back in here and say, but the flesh of the life there? Because that's like saying, in addition to what you already knew, this is an addition to it. Not like it's the only thing, because it says but.
You're talking about 9:4?
9:4. Does it say? What does it say in the Hebrew? Is there a but or an and in the Hebrew?
Well, that's the problem. It's and. The vav that begins a word as a prefix can mean and or but or any number of conjunctions is what they're called.
Okay, so in that case, my suspicion should be correct then, because he says I've given you all living things, but meaning here is another exception. If he already knew those rules,
well, but that's if you assume but means
like an objection.
That the vav means a but instead of an and.
But even and is still kind of like it's added information. I mean, if he already knew, why is he telling him more? That means there must have already been rules beside that one for him to say, and you can't do this either. You see what I'm saying?
Not exactly. Spell
Okay.
it out for me with that verse.
Okay, so if it says and the flesh with the life thereof, okay, he's giving him additional information to the every moving thing shall be meat for you. Additional information. Because if he already knew, if he didn't know any of those things, then first of all, I don't believe that even as the green herb, that wasn't needed to be put in there. I mean, all he could have said was, "Every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you," but don't eat the life thereof, right? But he didn't. He actually threw in there, even as the green herb, I have given you all things, almost like a comparison, saying, just like I gave you this, same thing. So whatever you can't do here, you can't do here either, and you can't eat the life thereof. So, so to me, it seems to be like it's all inclusive, not just that one rule.
Okay, all inclusive of what?
Of all the kosher laws, because I mean, animals, like you
William,
can't eat certain
I'm not
animals.
talking about all the kosher laws.
Okay.
That's how you interpret this.
Okay. Right.
For the sake of argument right now, I'm not arguing that.
Right.
I'm talking about the 7 laws of Noah, their derivation,
Okay.
and their implication. I'm not.
Okay.
Don't care about kosher. Does it apply to B'nai Noah? Okay. That's. Go right ahead and think whatever you want. That's not our topic now.
Right. That's not what you're talking about. Okay. Gotcha. Go ahead.
That's not what I'm talking
Okay.
about.
All
What
right.
I'm saying is that if there is limitations with the green herbs, have I given you all these things? Then there's also limitation about what you can eat.
Right.
Okay. Every moving thing you live can be meat for you, but there are limitations. An example of which is you can't cut the limb off of a living animal.
But it doesn't say an example. It says but or and, which means that's like additional. It's not like the example. It's like something else. That's the thing.
So
if it just said the flesh with the life thereof, then I could say that looks like he's giving an example. But it says but the flesh and the life thereof, not just the flesh and the life thereof. So anyway, that's just me. Plus, that's English grammar too. It's probably totally different in Hebrew, and this is probably where I'm missing out.
Okay,
on, so.
But what's your point that it says and don't eat the life with
the point is
limb off a limb?
The point I'm trying to make is I don't think that's the only rule. I think there were already other rules, and he was adding this one to it. That's what I think.
Okay, and what are those other rules?
Well, don't eat pig. Don't eat an unkosher animal.
Okay, so again, you're going back to just kosher apply to Noah.
I know.
That's not my topic.
I don't see how it
We're
can't
discussing
be. We're talking. Okay.
If you want to say it does, fine. Can we move on?
We can. Let's go.
Woo! Okay.
That was a long ride.
Yeah, the lie. You were taking the ride. I wasn't on the same car. Okay.
Oh, that's great. Okay, go ahead.
Again,
verse 9. Verse 9, chapter 9, verse 9. Is that where you're headed?
God establishes the covenant with Noah. Okay. Where are the other 4? Because I think we had 3 already.
Before I interrupted you, you said go to Genesis chapter 2 for something. What was that?
Yeah, that's what we were going to go to.
You want me to go there now?
Okay. This is God speaking to Adam and Eve. Okay. And go to
Genesis 2. Okay.
15, 16.
Okay, going down there now, and I'll put up on your screen just a second.
And
15,
again,
16. Okay, here we go.
This part, William, is going to seem very strange to people who don't understand the rabbinic mind.
Okay.
Where every single thing gets interpreted, and there are specific hermeneutical rules of how you interpret. Okay?
Gotcha.
So this is going to seem weird. We're going to touch on it, but there are going to be a lot of people who are going to go, huh?
Okay.
Okay. In Genesis chapter 2, 16, 17, okay, the text says, and the eternal God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. That's it. That's it right there. Okay?
Right.
God took the man, put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it, and the eternal God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. That's it.
Right.
That's all he says. Now, there is a systematic way of understanding verses in the Hebrew Scriptures, It's part of the rabbinic mind. It's part of how commentary and verses having a relationship with other verses is understood. So, for example, okay, in this verse in 16, it says, "And the eternal God commanded the man." Okay, why does it say commanded, Vaitzav? Why does it say, "And God commanded"? Okay, couldn't it have said, "And God spoke to the man saying"?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, and the rabbinic mind is going to say, here we have the word commanded, but we also have the word commanded in Genesis chapter 18, verse 19, where it says, "For I have known him, so he will command his children after him to keep the way of the eternal in righteousness and justice." Therefore, because you have the word Vaitzav commanded in one verse, and I can show you where it talks about commandment in another verse where it talks about justice, this is where God is telling Adam, and therefore becomes a part of the laws of Noah, where you have to have courts of justice.
Right. I got you. Mm-hmm.
And William, I guarantee you there are people going, huh?
Right.
Okay. The statement in Genesis 2:16, "And the eternal God commanded the man," and goes on from there, uses the word commanded. We also find the word commanded where the text says, "For I have known him, so he will command his children after him to keep the way of the eternal with righteousness and justice."
Right.
So they'll put the two together, okay, and they'll say, oh, so here, because you find commanded in one place, you can find commanded in this place, and in the second place is talking about justice. The reference there is God is commanding Adam to establish courts of justice.
Okay.
And you can say it's a quantum leap. You can say, just because it says commandment one place and it says commandment the other, how do you get that it's? I understand your problems, but in the mentality of rabbinic commentary, the two are related because they are using words that are the same, and the concept of one is going to be implied in the concept of the other. Okay, accept it or don't. That's one of the derivations. Okay.
Okay.
It's in the Talmud. It's Rabbi Yochanan who's explaining this.
Okay.
Okay. And the eternal God commanded the man saying, okay, so if it was the eternal, okay, Hashem, the four-letter name for God, the Yud, the Vav, the yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey.
Right.
Okay. Well, now wait a minute. If it's talking about that it was the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey, God who commanded the man, that means that the only God they can have is the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey.
Right. Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Okay, this is implied by the use of the word Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey, and the eternal God. So God is the eternal, so the only God you can have is the eternal. No idolatry.
Right.
Does that make at least some sense
Sure.
to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
To make a very long story short, they're taking these two verses. They are showing things like that.
Okay.
Okay. And that's how they're putting it together. Okay.
Let me change this. We're going to stay
I
on
don't
topic.
know if I can explain it any better than
That's
that.
okay. No, that's fine. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring up a same topic, different point.
Okay.
In the Torah, it does say, "Speak to the children of Israel," over and over and over and over again. Is it wrong for someone to assume that they are part of Israel even though they have not converted?
Yes.
Okay, now again,
Boy, was I having a long conversation with
right.
3 people over the past few days on this very topic.
So if God spoke to the children of Israel and literally Bnei Israel and told them to keep the Sabbath, but I'm not one of the children of Israel or part of them, then he wasn't talking to me, right?
Nope.
Okay, so
The
Noahide
who was at Mount
laws,
Sinai?
right? Right.
Okay, when God everywhere in the Torah where God says to Moses, "Speak to
Bnei Israel.
the nations of the earth."
Right. No.
No, it
Right.
doesn't
Right.
say nations of the earth.
Right.
It says, "And God told Moses, speak to the children of Israel and command them what? Speak to the children of Israel and say to them what?"
Right.
Okay, whatever was said was
Doesn't apply to
explicitly
everybody else, right?
exactly
Right. Right. Right.
explicitly directed to the Jews. And you want to say, "Oh, but they weren't called the Jews then." Who are we talking about?
12 tribes, but even still, I'm with you on this. But one conversation I had with somebody, and I'm not going to mention any names because it's really irrelevant. But the point was that maybe I'm not Jewish, but maybe I'm one of the other tribes, which would be Bnei Israel. Like,
No, that's fine.
But my question
Absolutely.
my question to that person is, do you know that you're from there? I'm like, no, but I think I might be. I'm like, well, you can't just jump in if you're not sure. You need to find out.
And the second thing they'll say, William, which is just as much bothersome to me, is that they think this idea of being a Jew is a race, and a race is genetic.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
true,
well, I
true.
did the DNA test, and the DNA test I have X%,
Right.
okay, that was from the Middle East and is the common marker for Jews.
Right.
That tells us about their ancestors. It doesn't tell them about them.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And I know people will jump on me for saying this, but there's a perfect analogy to this. Okay. Before we get to the analogy, what did God say to the people of start over?
Okay.
Why do I do that? What did God say to Abraham? I will make you a great ethnic group. I will make you a great culture.
Right. Right.
No.
Right.
He said, I will make you a great
nation.
And every nation develops its own code of laws, and every nation develops its laws governing naturalization. And the naturalization process to become a citizen of the Jewish people, the Jewish nation that God made us into, is called conversion to the religion of Judaism. It's that simple. Okay, so a person from anywhere else on planet Earth except the United States comes into the United States through the southern border, and he feels that he is American.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point.
He feels it.
Great point.
Okay. He loves the American people. He follows every law of the American people. He tries desperately not to break the law, and he doesn't, which is great.
Still not American.
Okay. And because he feels American,
Right.
he celebrates all the American cultural things.
Right.
Okay, like turkey on the fourth Thursday of November. I don't know. Okay. So because he feels like he's a U.S. citizen, he feels like he's a true American, does he automatically become a citizen?
Right. Not at all. Right.
Should we treat him like a citizen? Should we say, oh, you have the same genetic markers that many, 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 many other people who are U.S. citizens also have in terms of coming over here from, pick a country, England. Okay, does that make that person a U.S. citizen? No, he still has to go under U.S. law to become naturalized as a U.S. citizen. And for the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, okay, that's called conversion to the religion of Judaism.
Right.
It has been the Jewish people, the descendants of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham, and their descendants and all those people who converted to their religion, who became a part of them by the conversion, okay, who have preserved Torah, who have kept the laws of God given to them at Sinai, both written and oral, okay. If we're the ones who kept it and preserved it and obeyed it and worshiped the God who gave it, when nobody else on planet Earth did, because they feel like they're Israel, okay, like they feel they're a U.S. citizen, we should just say, "Oh, welcome, thank you for being here." And William, just, I hate to run off on the mouth, but let me just say one more thing.
Go ahead. This is your show, man.
No, it's our show.
Okay.
And stop saying that.
I'm going to put you full screen in a minute. You better watch it.
No, you better not. Brilliant.
Okay. Go ahead, Rabbi. You're awesome, dude. I love you, man.
Would love to have them join us.
Right.
Okay? We were never commanded by God. We were never commanded by God to missionize the earth as a great commission.
Right. Agreed.
Right?
Right.
Okay? I would urge people to read Psalm 96. Okay? So it's not a great commission, but boy, God sure sounds like he wants us to increase our numbers. Okay? Not just by being fruitful and multiplying.
Okay.
Be that as it may, separate issue. Okay? Separate issue. We would love to have them join us, but in order to join us, okay, you can't join something you're already a part of. You can't join something unless you're not yet a member of it.
Right.
And the way to become a member is not merely to say, well, I'm Israel, okay, and then start doing Judaism. And what happens, what's the obvious logical thing? I, Joe Schmo, do not interpret kosher laws the same way that the rabbis of 2,500 years, give or take, okay, have interpreted. So here's the right way to interpret it. And they start making their own religion. Right. Don't call it Judaism. Don't call it the religion of the people of Israel. Call it Joe Schmoism or Joe Schmoianity.
I'm going to pull up a comment because I actually deleted the comment, but the point was good. I think I just didn't want the wording to be confusing to people. So Jamie mentioned something. He said, so it's like you have these extremist, like black people who are extreme. They say, well, we're the real. We are the real.
Of course they do.
Right. So, and so it's kind of the same thing. It's like you have Spanish people or Mexicans come from that are illegal coming in, and they want to act like they're real Americans or whatever, and it's illegal immigration. So, likewise, I mean, with God being a holy God, I mean, we can't do the same thing and expect Him to accept it. You know, I mean, I guess you could say that by I don't know. Okay, this guy John Gishkala, I believe is how I say it. I'm guessing he's not Jewish because otherwise I don't think he would be putting up such.
John who?
John Gishkala. I think it's Gishkala. Look at the. Oh, actually, you don't see it yet because you're. Remember, there's 30 seconds behind on the video you're looking at. I know. So anyway, his comments throughout was. From the very beginning was the Noahide laws are a scam. We are Israel now. He says, he took you out of Egypt. And I'm like, no, he didn't take me or my family out of Egypt. He took the 12 tribes out of Egypt and others. So now he's saying, I am Israel. So I'm guessing that this guy is probably Christian or Messianic, or maybe he left the Messianic and just is not satisfied with having to convert if he wants to be part of Israel. So, anyway,
well, he doesn't have to.
Right.
But don't tell me who you are from our perspective. From our perspective,
right.
You aren't. You can be who you want to say you are. It's a free country.
Right.
Call yourself an African American, French, whatever. Nobody cares. But when you start usurping our faith, telling us how we should be doing things, okay?
Right.
Good luck with that.
Okay, so
here he is. Okay, we chose to be chosen, accept the birthright God gave you.
Now that's way.
No idea what that means.
Okay, so his latest comment was the Torah is talking to all of us, and I'm saying then why did God say speak to the children of Israel if He was speaking to all of us? I mean, just that one statement alone.
But it's repeated all over the place. Okay, and God spoke to Moses and said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them."
Yeah, right.
What happens, William, is that in the Christian community, all of this is inherited from Christianity.
True.
You may take the person out of Christianity, but you don't necessarily get the Christianity out of the person.
I completely agree because I've met.
Go ahead.
I totally agree, because I've met and talked with literally hundreds of people, and they carry their Christian baggage out with them.
And the baggage we're talking about is the baggage where all Christianity, when they read the word you, thinks it's talking about them, Christians, as if they were at Sinai, as if they're, the Jewish people. They're not. But they think whenever the word you is involved, it means them. Right. Every single person, when they read, you shall not murder, are they supposed to think that the word you applies to them? God wasn't speaking to every human being on earth. Although murder, of course, is a bad example because it's part of the 7 laws of Noah. Okay. But, what about you shall not eat the flesh of the chazir, the pig. So that means all people on earth were commanded by God, to say, you will not eat pig.
Right.
Everybody thinks that everything in the Hebrew scriptures is talking to them personally.
Right.
And it's not what the text says. But this idea comes from Christianity, which they're continuing to believe, even though they may have left Christianity.
Right.
And by the way, it is consummate arrogance that they're going to start telling the Jews who the Jewish people are.
And how to behave.
They're going to, I'm sorry, what?
And how to behave.
And how we have to behave,
right.
And the correct interpretation of the biblical verses, which they may or may not even know an aleph from a bet.
Mm-hmm, right.
And by the way, for those who don't know an aleph from a bet, those are Hebrew letters. So I'm saying they don't know anything at all about Hebrew.
Right.
Okay. It is consummate arrogance. And again, free country, they can say what they want, but the Jewish people will know better.
Right.
And they can start making, I don't know what, making mezuzahs on the doorposts of our house, with the U.S. Constitution inside the little container,
right.
Because that's what they think it's referring to. Fine, do what you want, but don't call it Judaism, and don't tell us we're wrong for how we do our own faith that we have preserved and kept over 2,500 years, give or take, dating back 3,700 years, give or take.
Right.
And if I'm sounding passionate, William, it's because I've been arguing with this for a week with 2 or 3 people who...
Okay, closing. Listen, we're not shutting down, but we're, it's funny, as we were talking about this, we were thinking, man, I don't know, we can maybe talk about it for a few minutes. We've hit the whole hour on this topic. This is great. This is what I wanted. I wanted to go in and out of everything we could possibly think of. Now, but here's the thing. We're like at a minute and a half away from an hour. I'm fixing to open up the phone lines, and we're going to change.
Boy, was that quick?
Yeah, I know. And we're going to change the topic. So if you want to call in with your questions, any question you want to, except for the laws of Noah, we're going to switch it up. We're going to do a second hour on something else. Right? Are you cool with that?
Can I respond to some of the?
Yes.
Okay.
You have 1 minute. I'm just kidding. You can take as much time as you need.
Yeah. I'm not sure why Jamie Bean keeps asking these same questions that are so blatantly obvious if a person just picks up the Blessed Bible and reads it.
No, I think he's responding to someone else, maybe.
Oh, okay. No, he says, Rabbi Federow, so a Noahide gets a share in the world to come? Of course, obviously. That's what it says in the Talmud. The righteous of any nation on earth will have a share in the world to come.
Okay, for context...
you put this up, but I keep hitting it and knocking it down.
Hey, I'm not the one who transported it to Houston, man. Don't give me a hard time.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so Jamie Bahan, just for clarity, he was the one who asked for prayer earlier. He's a younger guy. He's 21 years old, so he's learning all this is all new to him, most likely.
Okay.
So to give you an idea of maybe his frame of mind and how he's trying to research this stuff. So Jamie, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're on the channel, man. This is cool, dude. Good questions, by the way. Good questions.
All right. Let's see.
Tell me when to turn on the phone lines. I've got the screen up.
No, turn them on. We'll take the questions as soon as they come in. I thought they were already on. But
no,
okay.
I've been kind of keeping it quiet, man, because I want to make sure.
That's fine.
All right, cool.
Let's see.
There you have it, folks. Phone number will be on your screen momentarily.
Okay, that's the same topic. All right, whatever.
There you go. Phone lines on your screen. 855-95-BIBLE for you people on the go. 855-952-4253. Yeah, okay. Had to squeeze that in past a cough. So, okay, yep, and make sure. Oh, hold on. This thing is asking me.
Now, Jamie asked a very interesting question, and I got to tell you, I don't know the history, because history's not been my long suit. Rabbi Federow, was there always a small amount of righteous Gentiles that adhered to Noahidism? I don't know.
I have an
I don't know.
answer that I asked this question on, and again, I'm not going to mention any. We have a lot of rabbis here, so I don't really remember which one it was. But I asked the question. I said, "Why isn't there more information about Noahide laws?" And they said, "Well, to be honest with you, it's never really been an epidemic in a positive way like it is now. I mean, it's something that
William, there
Yes.
hasn't been an epidemic of Gentiles, nations, people who aren't Jewish, getting interested in anything Jewish at all, ever in its history like
I know.
this.
That's why I'm saying this is weird. So there's never been a need to discuss it. So they don't have a lot of content, even in the oral law, even in the Talmud, discussing all these things because there was never a
Okay.
need for it. So
All right.
now there's a
I'm
need.
go
Right.
ahead.
Nope, that's it. That's all I was going to say. Now there's a need. It's a new thing.
I was just going to say that John Giscala says, drop the scam of Noahide code and go with the real thing, which is Torah. John, the point is that from the rabbinic perspective, the Torah talks about the Noahide code.
Right.
So when we're talking about the Noahides and the B'nai Noahides, we're still talking Torah because that's what it's derived from. For the last hour, all we've done is quote Genesis.
So if John and others out there want to say, I want to keep all the 613 laws, I'm going to say good luck, because unless you're transgender and unless you're a dog and unless you're a priest and unless you're all these things, you can't do them. You can only keep the ones that apply to you. And I said that was really a bad example.
By the word is not transgender. The word is
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're right. It's not transgender. Sorry, that was a bad example, but you get the idea.
where
though.
you're male and female at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, not transgender. Yeah. So unless that's the case, you can't anyway. So you're saying that it just doesn't make sense. Okay, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Steve from Brooklyn. How are you? Steve and Ralph, how you doing?
Hey, Stephen, how are you, sir? Good to have you back. What's the question you got?
Great. Well, so the question I have for you is that the 7 laws of Noah. We have laws against incest. All the laws of incest and all the other laws. When did they come into play? When Adam and Eve, they had Cain and Abel. They were each born with twin sisters.
Right.
Obviously, they had to live with their sisters, because otherwise humanity wouldn't be able to continue. So, at what point did, for example, the laws of what we call in Hebrew arayot come into play? And
Okay.
All right.
that's my
First
question.
of all, I don't agree with your assumption that it would have been sisters. Okay. People lived for a very, 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 very long time back then, according to the biblical text. And Adam and Eve, according to Jewish thought, Adam and Eve had other children, but they weren't part of the important narrative. Not every person on planet Earth from the time of Adam and Eve is found, their story is not found in our Bible, in our Torah. The Bible.
No, that wasn't my question. My question was that, you have laws, you're not allowed to marry your sister. Even by non-Jews, they're not allowed to marry certain arayas. Now, when Cain and Hevel were born, they were born with a counterpart. So obviously that wasn't usher, that wasn't prohibited, because there was no other way of
Production.
No other way of
I don't agree with your assumption.
At what point did it kick in? When did it? They weren't born with sisters, and how did they get married? Who did they have children with?
Again, I'm trying to say is that Adam and Eve had other children who had other children who had other children who had other children.
But how did
who
they?
knows how long? When Adam and Eve start over, when Cain was able to marry, he could be marrying a first cousin 100 times removed.
But how did they get the first cousins if there was never any? Because if you had Adam and Eve and they had their own kids, well, those kids.
No, that's my point. The other parts of Adam and Eve's children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, etc., are not named in the Torah because the narrative doesn't go about them.
Let me see if I can jump with him on the phone real fast. Okay, so where did the first set of grandkids come from? The very first set of grandkids to Adam and Eve.
That Adam and Eve had other kids not named in the Torah, not named in Genesis, And I guess you're talking about their kids would have been the grandkids of Adam and Eve.
But how did they come to play if brothers and sisters didn't?
And if you want to talk about incest that far back, that's fine. But by the time you get so many generations later, okay,
right, later on,
it's legal. It's legal in the United States to marry your second cousin, I believe, and in some states, I think you can marry your first cousin. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember exactly which state has what laws.
One last thing. I just want to interject one last thing. I know the Chazal say, and I know this is Kabbalistic, the Chidah, with reference to, Moshe Rabbeinu coming back as a reincarnation of Hevel and TORAH coming back as a reincarnation of Chaim. But in that discussion, it does say that Chaim and Hevel were born with twin sisters. So there's definitely somewhere in Chazal in that discussion that they themselves are born twin sisters. So obviously, that initial relationship with those sisters wouldn't be prohibited because there was no other way. Are you telling me that Cain and Hevel were not the only ones born in Gan Eden? There were like multiple kids born and they just weren't mentioned? Is that what you're trying to say, Rabbi?
That is exactly what I'm trying to say, according to other commentaries from Chazal. You're quoting one commentary, which happens to be the Kabbalistic, which I assume Zohar or whatever. Okay, but that's not the only commentary. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
In other commentary,
thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
Well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye. Okay. Cool.
In other commentaries, okay, Adam and Eve had other children, but they were not named. Who had other children who were not named? Other children not named. And by the time that Cain gets around to getting married, he's marrying one of these other descendants who would have been related to him, but much more distantly than marrying a sister.
But they would have had to still come from the same brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it would have come from some form of incestual relationship. There's no doubt about that.
And that's all. I think that's all he was saying. Yeah.
But in terms of Cain relating to them,
right?
Okay, the distance would have been so great.
Right, because it doesn't tell you how long the span was, and they lived for a long time back then.
Exactly, and then people back then lived for 1,000 years.
Right. So
if a generation is 20, which back then it was probably more like 12, but if a generation was 20.
So in other words, Adam and Eve.
1,000 years is 50 generations.
Yeah. So it's like Adam and Eve. I'm just going to paint this picture the way I'm kind of gathering it. So Adam and Eve had a lot of kids, and really the Bible is only focused on 2. And they've got a lot.
Exactly
but here's the thing: all of those kids are brothers and sisters. Period. End of story. No.
They're descended from brothers and sisters.
No, they can only descend from.
At some point,
you
get all these branches coming out.
At some point, but I'm talking about the very first time with Adam and Eve.
At the first time, they're going to be.
They have a litter. They've got 50 kids. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
It's 50 generations, but yes, the point is that.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
So they've got all these kids, and the Bible's really only telling you the story about Cain and Abel, right, and Seth and Enosh, right? But they've got like 45 more kids over here, and as they are getting older, 50, 80, 100 years past, they lived to 900 years old, for crying out loud, back then. Okay, they do have incestuous relationships. Well, later on, maybe with one of their nieces or nephews, that's how Cain comes around and maybe marries not his sister.
But it wouldn't be a niece or nephew.
Oh, yeah, it would be...
It would be a niece...
Like a grand...
50,
yeah.
It's like...
Right.
It's like, let's say you have...
That's easier to bite off.
Cousin.
That's easier to make sense now. I mean, I've never actually thought of it that way.
It only is circumventing the idea that Cain married someone of a more distant relationship than his own sister.
That makes perfect sense.
It could have been a first cousin, which means, okay, you got Cain's parents. The parents have other kids.
Yep.
Okay, which would be like a...
Wow, that was loud.
I don't know what to call it. And then their kids and their kids and their kids and their kids, and then you get this,
Right.
Okay. Phone call.
Okay. First, we would be amiss to not, at least for a second, cover the last part of his question. At what point on that scale of the timeline did those laws come into play with Moshe Rabbeinu and all the laws that were given, no incestuous relationships? That's kind of something we were kind of leading into. You can skip it and take the call and come back to it if you want.
Again, we didn't get to it. Let me see if I can pull it up again.
Caller, hang on. Just sit tight with us. We know you're
see.
there. Don't hang up, okay? Just hang in there. I'm going to put this up so nobody else will call in. I missed a call earlier. Actually, maybe not. It looks like the one who actually missed earlier.
According to this passage I read earlier from Rabbi Yochanan.
Okay,
in the Talmud, and I know you're going to say, well, what's the, chapter and verse, and I don't have it. Typical of me. Okay, but it's using one of these, midrashic techniques or commentary techniques that a word in one verse is going to have a relationship to the same word usage in another verse. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And the eternal God commanded the man, saying, from all the trees of the garden you may freely eat. Right?
Okay.
So the word saying is lemor.
Right.
Lemor is found not only in Genesis 9:6 that we just read it from. It's also found in Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1, where it says, lemor, if a man divorces his wife, and it's about remarrying her and all this other stuff. Okay? And they're saying that because lemor is in one verse in the Genesis passage we already talked about, it's also found in this other verse, but in this other verse it's talking about illicit sexual union, and therefore the lemor is hinting at what Jeremiah is speaking about. Again, it's not going to be obvious as saying, Genesis chapter 356, verse 42, the laws of Noah are the following. It's not going to be that clear. It's going to be implied. Okay, and this is how the rabbinic mind works. Okay, when did that happen? To answer his second part of the question, depends on how you want to read it.
All right,
It could go all the way back to Noah, Adam and Eve. We said that there were, I can't even remember what we said. It goes back an hour and a half ago. Okay, Genesis, what was it, 9? Let's see.
Jamie, the answer is no. I don't think, anyway. But anyway, there's too many questions to cover. But here, we've got a caller. Let's go ahead and take this caller. They've been patient.
Yeah, please.
Okay, caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. In about 10 more seconds.
Hey, this is Ron.
Hey, Ron, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Great.
This is my second time calling into the show, so I appreciate you guys
you bet.
answering some interesting questions.
Yeah, certainly. Go ahead. What's the question for tonight?
I've had back and forth before. It was a discussion between a friend of mine who's a rabbi and someone who was interested in the Noahide laws. It was my understanding, as well as the rabbi's understanding, that the covenant of marriage is only applicable between Jews. So if someone were to say that they were a Noahide, they couldn't get married. And then that muddied the waters of what sexual purity meant in that sense, and what message we're really receiving from the Torah. If only Jews can get married, is there sanctity outside of our people? Like if we were to go into the general world, it'd just be a world of people not married, not in monogamous relationships, because the only way you can get a marriage contract is through a ketubah. So it was a really deep topic, and I was interested to hear what you guys had to say, because you're reasonable experts in the field.
And just restate the question very, very kind of specifically, but short, in one sentence if you can.
So if marriage is only applicable to Jews through a ketubah, how do Noahides maintain sexual purity in a world?
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
You don't get married. You can have sex with whoever you'd like.
Right. Gotcha. So yeah, that's interesting.
No earthly idea what he's talking about.
Okay, so
and the way I understood the sentence is differently than he is meaning by it. Okay.
So why don't we just stay on the phone with us for a minute, and
please.
I'm going to kind of just listen to both of you guys talk. I'm just going to listen, and because I want to learn from this too. So y'all go ahead and talk together.
Okay, so you said that the only way to have holiness, okay, I can't remember how you worded it, for Jews was the ketubah, okay? And since other peoples don't have a ketubah, then their unions are not holy or sanctified. And I don't understand, or let me rephrase that. The way I understand it is that for Jews, the only way to have a holy, a sanctified marriage is through a ketubah. That's not a statement about other people. That's a statement about Jews in the covenant with God. Then we have to have a ketubah, to be married. But that's not a statement about those people outside of our covenant with God, namely the Gentile nations. They have their own systematic way of making holiness or marriage. And I have never heard in my, limited, I'm the first to admit it, my limited experience, my limited knowledge, again, I'm more theology and than whatever. The point is that I've never heard that anybody would say that, a marriage of two Gentiles isn't truly sanctified or holy or what have you. I think that just strikes me as, I don't know what. Afraid to put a pejorative term on it. So that's my response.
So I think it was just looking from a purely legal perspective.
No, but the Jewish law,
like any connotation onto,
Chinese law does not govern American citizens. Chinese law governs Chinese citizens of China. Jewish law covers Jewish law covers Jews. Okay, saying that Jews have to have a ketubah for the Jews to have have holiness in their relationship, okay, is not a statement about people outside of Judaism and how they obtain holiness for themselves. So I'm
you're
not
saying the two are not mutually exclusive.
Look, let me be blunt. I haven't studied this. Okay, I can't say that I know what Jewish law says, but I would have a hard time to be able to say that marriages in other religions and other peoples and other societies and other cities, towns, counties, states, whatever, don't have holiness to it. I think that
even if the marriage is performed under the guise of an idolatrous religion.
See, that's I think these are great questions.
Our God is not so petty and small.
Right.
Our God is not so limited that God can only answer the prayers of people who pray to the right name or the right God, have the right religion, have the right belief system. Our God is not so small and weak that he cannot also answer the prayers of people who are not Jews.
Right.
He also is not so petty and small that he cannot recognize, acknowledge, and accept and revel in the holiness of marriages that take place. I guess Adam and Eve, they didn't have a ketubah, so, I guess they weren't. Adam and Eve certainly weren't Jewish.
Let me jump in. I got a question for you, or a thought. Earlier we discussed how Hashem, part of the Noahide laws was to set up a court system, right?
Right.
Okay, so if that's true, then that court system would have the ability to sanctify
marriages. Right.
So that's the only thing I'm thinking right now that may answer this question a little bit. I'm not really sure. But.
It makes a lot more sense than saying than what it sounds like he's saying.
Well, I hope this your question got a little bit answered. Are you still on the phone with us?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the insight. Thank you guys.
Okay, yeah, sure. No problem, man. Thanks for calling in. It's great questions, by the way, for sure.
All right.
Okay, cool. All right, phone line's back open again. How long are you willing to go?
Look, I think the longer these videos are,
Midnight.
the less people are likely to watch them from beginning to end. But
yeah, that's true.
I am in no hurry to leave.
That's true. Okay, so let's phone line's back open again. Let me make sure they can see.
By the way, William.
Yeah.
Fabulous insight. That if part of the laws of Noah are established courts of justice, don't you think it's a just thing that those same courts would create marriages? I think was beautiful and perfect, and I wish I'd have thought of it.
Well, technically you did. I just reworded it for you.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I
Okay.
didn't say a word about the Noahide laws regarding this.
Okay.
That is
Gotcha.
brilliant insight.
Well, cool.
Fabulous.
I'll take it. Thank you. Okay, so the phone lines are back open. If you want to call in, do so. Do it now. If we have more than a minute or so of silence, we'll probably go ahead and end the show. So, and I know there's a lot of people saying, "No, don't leave." So,
by the way, you know that going back to the laws of Noah, somebody put up the thing about blood sausages.
oh yeah, I saw that earlier. Right.
Did you know that I think it was Japan or China, I think it was Japan, had a fad for a while where you would go into a restaurant to eat lobster that was never boiled, meaning never killed, meaning they would just rip it apart and eat it live in order to feel the muscle still spasming as it goes down your throat.
Whoa. Wow.
So the idea of, who's going to cut off the limb of a living animal to eat it? Yeah, actually, it still does happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And that's not that long ago. That's just a few years.
Pardon me. So a lot of good questions Jamie's been asking, and again for all you viewers out there who maybe have not been following along with Jamie. Jamie's 21. He's learning. He's a young kiddo, growing up, young adult, shall I say? Not a young kid, young adult, and he's asking a lot of really good questions. So if you see some questions, just understand his perspective and why he's asking these things. So a lot of them was can a Noahide get tattoos? Can a Noahide? There was something about marriage. There was something about marriage earlier.
Okay. Steve Roft, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Is it possible that McDonald's is ever mean hachai because they start cutting up the animal before it's totally dead?
Stephen Roth, that's the guy we just got off the phone with. Where's
I'm sorry, Steve. I didn't realize.
Where's his comment at? I'm looking for it. I don't see it.
There are two with the little wrench with Mitch FTD.
Yeah,
and
Mitch.
he's in between them.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
I'll look for it.
You see it?
Not yet, but it's okay though. I'll find it.
All right. Well, at any rate, Steve, I think you're forgetting of the existence of the Food and Drug Administration. Okay. I think you're forgetting the existence of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals and all the other laws on the books of our secular society that preclude cutting up the animal before it's totally dead. And if it could be proved that any any butcher was doing that, they get shut down real quick. So, possible? Not saying it's impossible, but extremely highly unlikely.
Right.
Because of all the other laws that are in place. Jewish law isn't the only law that's around.
Billionaire crypto, William, when are you finishing your conversion? I don't know that I am. First of all, I never started. We were planning on it. But honestly, I don't know exactly where or when that's going to take place or if it will take place. I just know that we're going to keep pushing forward and just that's it. We're going to keep pushing forward as hard as we can. So wherever that leads us. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Greenacre's Pest Control. Some argue that the law that states not to eat the limb off a living animal also means not to eat blood because of the life being in the blood. Well, that's specific. We just read it in the Genesis 9 quote.
Cruelty to animals, Rabbi. And again, I deleted a comment, but it's okay. I'll reword it for you, Jamie. Cruelty to animals, kosher. Forget the cruelty to animals. Does a Noahide have to, for the sake of animal rights, for the sake of animal cruelty, for the sake of suffering animals, do they have to kill their animals kosherly? Like, can a Noahide go deer hunting? Can a Noahide,
William,
right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I am not a maven.
Okay.
A wise person studying the laws of Noahides.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know. As soon as the question begins, can a Noahide?
Right.
You lost me because no, seriously.
I agree because I'm the same way. I'm having to figure this out. Right. Right. All I can do is ask questions.
Mine is more comparative religion, comparing Judaism and Christianity, these kinds of things. I'm not good at history. I'm not good at other things. I'm the first to admit it.
Right. Gotcha.
I wish I could be of better help.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and wrap it up for the night because I'm actually getting kind of hungry. It's been a long day.
Home, you don't get to eat.
Yeah, that's okay though. I could go without, but that's okay. But anyway, it's been a blast. Let me get the phone number off the screen, otherwise somebody's gonna call in and say, "Well, you didn't take the phone number down." So there we go. Now it's gone like a set of rims at a Puff Daddy concert, like a pizza at a Weight Watchers convention, baby. All right. Okay, cool. Well, it has definitely been a really, really, really deep and very, very busy show. Great questions. A lot of viewers out there. We had 62 viewers at one time. That's really good. I'm glad to see all the activity. It's a definitely interesting topics for sure. And not everybody's going to agree. The bottom line is, hey, that's just the way it is. We don't hate you. Don't hate us either. Don't send me no hate email. Send it all to Rabbi Federow.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I get enough of it. You wouldn't believe some of the things these people were saying.
Wow.
Who want to see themselves as Israel.
Right.
As one of the 10 lost tribes. They even, how there's anti-Semitism? Well, there's also anti-10 tribism.
Right.
So we're against them because they think they're part of the 10 tribes. It's unbelievable out there.
John Lewis said when there's another study night every Monday night, 8 p.m. same time. We usually only do one show. But 1 hour. But lately we've been indulging, going more than an hour. Sometimes 2 hours, sometimes an hour and a half. Tonight's one of those hour and a half nights. So, every Monday night, man. Subscribe to the website. Here's the thing: all you people out there, including John Lewis, subscribe to the YouTube channel for TORAH Talk, and then click the little bell icon to turn on the notifications. That way, you won't even have to guess. You will automatically be alerted every time I click the record button, whether it's Rabbi Federow, Rabbi Singer, it doesn't matter what it is. Interviews for people leaving Christianity. You'll get every single alert that happens whenever I click the record button. So do that. All you guys get her done. That's it. No, I did not just reference Larry the Cable Guy. That was... Apparently I did. Otherwise I wouldn't have said that, right? So that's it, man. Well, I had a blast. I don't know about you guys, but, man, this is definitely... I'll say it again. I'll say it every week. This is one of the highlights of my week, man. I love it. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Finger dance. Come on. It's got to be there, man. Shalom, everybody. We'll see you later on the other side. And by the way, if you want to help support the new building fund, go to TORAHTalk.com and look for the PayPal button at the bottom or the donate button at the top. So, and also Rabbi Federow's book, Judaism and Christianity at Contrast. I'm going to put that little sign up there because some of you haven't seen it yet. And it's right here at the bottom of your screen. Right there it is. Right. See, I got a point. Where is this? There it is right there. Right there. That guy right there. That's the book you want to get right there, guys. Great, great book. Get it. You're going to love it. It's a short, easy read. It's fantastic. Rabbi, I love you, man. And I'll see you next week. And see all you guys next week, too. Shalom, shalom.
ביחד, איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה